Well, hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And I gotta be really honest with you. I don't think Donald Trump's gonna make it to 2 p.m. today. If he makes it to 2 p.m., I'll be shocked. Morning, Gabby. Because the biggest problem I got, okay, obviously I got lots of them. But here's the first thing I noticed this morning, because people are gonna wonder, right? Hey, why would they share dated photos of the president? You know what I'm saying? Why, why share dated photos of the president for the last 4 days? He's either dead or incapacitated. He's either unalived or he's in a hospital bed. Why would you share dated photos of himself? And they look like shit too. Keep that in mind. The pictures did him no favors. Morning. Stand by. People are asking what to call JD Vance. As a Marine, I feel like an answer. First of all, I love naming things and people. Okay. Um, I just want Robin. Fat Man and Robin. Except it's Robbin. And Donald Trump is Fat Man. Fatman. And you can make a whole comic book series about Fat Man and Robin being like incompetent wannabe superheroes that are bad guys and make $1 zillion. You're welcome. But JD Vance's new nickname is Robin. Robbin. And all, and I know you're like, that's not that funny, Jared. And it's like, well, you know, some of us cope differently. Because you can't call him a poke. Okay, as a Marine, uh, you can't call him a poke. Because the whole goal is to beat the poke tag. So you gotta give him a new name. Because he's not President Vance. The fuck out of here. You can't take that goofy shit seriously. We're not taking that goofy shit seriously. Yeah, the president is supposed to speak at 2 p.m. today. Somebody make it into a comic book. You can have it. American Idol. Dim the lights, cue the music today at 2 p.m. Yeah, yeah. So I think I was gonna say it's definitely you. Okay, I think that he has been on his back for the last week and is going to try to crawl out of the slumber that he's been in, probably getting the best medical care on earth to try to put him in a position to make a speech today, because I think he has to pardon a bunch of people. Otherwise, it doesn't fucking matter, right? Um, just so everybody knows, he has to pardon a bunch of people. Otherwise, like, none of this matters. He dies. He leaves the door open. It's all downhill from there. They thought he'd last till midterms at least. Yeah, yeah. I'm super excited. Uh, here's what I think. Are you ready? And it's tough. It's tough sledding. It's tough sledding. You can't you can't make him immortal. So the roads leading to Walter Reed are all closed. I saw that too, Ange. So the president's dead or dying. Facts. Uh, yeah, Gabby, that's fucking insane. Here's what I think happened. I think this would get us banned off of TikTok. That's how confident I am of what's really going on. Donald Trump is a petulant child. That man is a racist fourth grader on a power trip at the end of his fucking life cycle. Okay? You know who else was fucking old that I was around that was getting a little bit demented, getting a little racist? My grandparents. Okay? So now he has, I believe, like an enhanced version of syphilis, right? With that has contributed to his dementia. So Donald Trump is an angry racist rapist. And you can imagine that someone that, by the way, is not 6 feet tall, he's probably more like 5'10". He's a little guy. He wears lifts in his shoes. He's always wearing a fucking disgusting ass suit and shit. Yeah, he guaranteed dementia aided, okay? Woke up, ripped out his catheter and his fucking colostomy bag and got piss and shit all over the Oval Office. Probably passed out in the Oval Office or something. That's what I'm guessing. He passed out in the Oval Office in the same seat that Joe Biden sat in when they had lunch or whatever. I'm making shit up. It's a fucking story. It's better than the bullshit non-story they gave us. So he crashes into the same chair Joe Biden sat, uh, rips out his catheter and his fucking colostomy bag, gets piss and shit all over the White House, all over the gold. I wouldn't even clean it. It's just like, whatever, fuck it. This is what he wanted, Don. It smells awful lot like pine. But yeah, I think he got piss and shit all over the Oval Office, and that's why they were throwing heavy bags of shit out the windows. Because think about it, if it was just piss and shit, he's on a colostomy bag and a fucking. If it was blood, what the fuck, right? But more importantly, those were rags soaked in piss and shit. Hundo. Probably piss, shit, and blood. Why would it be in a black plastic bag? Why would you be discreetly dumping it out of the window? At the request of the president. So the answer to your fucking question is the president wanted it fucking done this way. If you wondered why it feels like you're in the motherfucking upside down, yeah, yeah, it's not documents. That's silly. We live in the digital era. The thing about destroying documents that drives me up a goddamn wall is that we live in the digital era. That means if it exists once, it exists infinitely Please stop pretending like shredding documents is still a fucking thing. Oh my god. What is going on? Like, hey, just everybody thinks documents, paper. Donald Trump had paper. We live in the digital era, babies. If that shit exists once, there's 100 copies of that shit floating around on the internet. What the fuck are we talking about? What are we talking about? Documents. Donald Trump probably thinks documents. Yeah. Donald Trump probably thinks documents are wildly important. I don't. I'm just like, he's doing what? He's shredding documents. He's shredding documents. Where did he print those off at? We printed them off the computer. And how did he get them on his computer? Somebody sent them to him in an email. And he's shredding the copies that he made? Why? Because there's handfuls of copies floating around on the internet right now. What are we even talking about? This is the digital age. Yeah, he did that shit at the end of his first time. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Don? Alright, so the biggest news that happened in the last. People trying to talk to me while I'm live. Uh, Here's a roll call. Former House Judiciary Chairman is 78 years old. Hey, we live in the digital age. No need to be concerned about the president's destroying paper. Oh, he's so weak and powerless. He doesn't even understand he lives in the digital age. So I wonder if this person's white. But listen, I want to make sure I get this all out before you see content that contains all this shit later today. Um, the tendency is to call JD Vance a pogue. Pogue, POG. It's an acronym. It's a Marine Corps specific acronym, as far as I know. Okay, if it extends to other branches, that's not relevant here. JD Vance and I were in the Marine Corps. I was an 0351. I was an assaultman. That's demolition and small rockets within the infantry. I make shit. I do the boom boom part of the shooty shooty bang bang. I do the bang bang part. Hmm. I mean, I can do the shooty shooty too, but the bang bang is way more effective. Um, JD Vance didn't do that shit. So imagine joining the world's finest fighting force and sitting in an office. No offense to the truth, but my entire reason for enlisting in the Marine Corps is that the economy had crashed and I just wanted to be outside for the next several years. I got to be outside. Hmm. So the tendency is to call someone that didn't do that shit a pogue. POG. Okay? Now, the tendency to call him a pogue, while accurate, he's not beating the pogue tag. So you have to move on because he is a pogue. Look at him. Now, once call someone out for being a pogue and I look like a pogue, I gotta beat the pogue tag. So I'm just understanding calling him a pogue means that he is not beating the pogue tag, right? The goal is to beat the pogue tag. You look like a personnel other than a grunt, other than someone capable of getting it done. JD Vance. JD Vance is the physical embodiment of a pogue. But the pogue tag, it typically only the worst of the worst within the pogues gets the pogue tag. Everybody else beats the pogue tag, meaning that they handle themselves in a manner that makes them efficient and they're not worthless pogues. Yeah. Well, as I've said, that I think they try to use the 25th Amendment and that's when they react. So I think that there's a big kabooey over mhm, the 25th Amendment. I think that I play Magic the Gathering, so this is hard to explain if you don't play Magic the Gathering. But let's say that you take an action. For example, let's say the president dies, and you go to use the 25th Amendment in or around his death. And if that gave you chills, that's because that's where we are right now. What is going to happen is they're going to try to use the 25th Amendment. And again, I think of it like Magic the Gathering. Uh, the GOP goes cast 25th Amendment, and then everyone else in the world goes fuck that, except legally. And I don't really know what the words are because I didn't go to law school. So, like, all of those things, all at once, are going to happen. So, there's a reason we called it Justice's Waiting Room. I didn't say we were getting any closer to justice. Although shitting and pissing yourself to death in the fucking White House and having people clean it up your way and then drugging yourself to be in a spot to give a speech today is wild, given that we haven't seen him in a week. I'm ready for a body double. Okay? Yeah, it's going to be the longest short week ever, right? I have to work today. It's the worst. Hey, the Northern Lights may be visible in 18 U.S. states tonight. So that'll be sweet, everybody. I think he dies. I think he dies, or some shit's gonna go down today. Northern Lights in like 18 states? Come on. No, I think it'll be AI. I think they're gonna try to weaken in Bernie's a speech where he pardons everybody. Tell me I'm lying. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I like to think he's gonna try to give one last hurrah. He's out of gas, kids. If he Donald J. Trump, the man who loved the attention, suddenly doesn't want it anymore. The man who golfs the entire time he's in office and doesn't mind getting his picture taken all of a sudden. Yeah, it's gonna be a long morning. Yeah. All of a sudden, he doesn't want his picture taken of him playing golf. When's the last time you seen Donald Trump hit a golf ball? Yeah. He could be incapacitated. That's what I think. I think that they're passing dated photos because he's on his fucking back. I think he's laid up. I think he's getting the best medical care in the world. and he's trying to recuperate. Yeah, yeah, he got poisoned by Vladimir Putin the last time they were together. Yeah. Or I think they're both dying. I think he has cancer. Doesn't Vladimir Putin have cancer? Yeah, like a eulogy. Yeah, 100%. Let's see. If you live in Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Washington, South Dakota, Michigan, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Idaho, Alaska, Oregon, New York, Illinois, Nebraska, Iowa, Wyoming, and Wisconsin could all see northern lights today. Sweet. So enjoy the northern lights today, everybody. If it said Indiana, I'd send it to my wife, but so I don't understand why Donald Trump gave Rudy Giuliani the Presidential Medal of Freedom, but okay. Yeah, after all that time making fun of disabled people, I want to point out that the president has not physically been seen in a week, that they passed off dated fucking photos of him. And I also want to make sure that I continue to use my platform every day to say Free Palestine, Slava Ukraine, join a union. If you haven't joined a union, join a union. It doesn't cost to join. What the fuck y'all talking about? It costs to donate. You can just join a union. Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, should you join and decide to become a member, there are dues. Can't even speak on that because you don't have to do that. Okay? There's active and inactive members. So you can be a member of a union and not an active member. Okay? Join a union. Make sure that you are registered to vote and you participate in elections while you can. Mm-hmm. And overwhelmingly, common sense is winning over. Okay? Remember, water isn't a human right, says Nestle, but their CEO just got fired. Hey, this is actually the big one. This is the big one. Hey, that's a huge ass story. The CEO of Nestle stepped down. I hope every powerful person ever loses everything ever. Hilariously, the House was due had subpoenaed uh, Robert Mueller. And you know, for the record, Robert Mueller would be giving testimony damning to Donald Trump, right? So Donald Trump was like, hey, Robert Mueller is dying. What the fuck? The House committee withdrew their fucking requests to interview Robert Mueller. I just want to point out that he would have had damning information. 11 Lessons Memoriam vid said he have to know about when it's the time. Yep. One by one, CEO has done us also dirty. You're gonna have a reckoning. Yeah. One way or the fucking other. This video is sticking around on the internet. This CEO ripping this hat out of this little kid's hand. That video is sticking around. He was pretty brazen in the face of his decision. Like, fuck yeah, I did that. Fuck those kids. But he now regrets that. So, Peter Cesarek says he made a huge mistake. Yeah. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Because whatever energy you give, you get. And there's always someone bigger, meaner, faster, stronger than you. So you might want to chill the fuck out. Yeah. There's always someone bigger, meaner, faster, stronger than you. Angie asked which other CEO is taken out. The CEO of Nestle stepped down. hmm Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that are realizing the sudden silence tells you they're realizing they're up shit creek without a paddle. They got to get Don has to give a speech in which he blanket pardons all of us. If he doesn't do that, we're all fucked. How are we not going to get. Yeah. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a big kerfuffle over the 25th Amendment and shit. I don't know, you tell me. Yeah. Yeah, there was another healthcare CEO. Here's a Washington Post. Mm-mm. Trump and Gabbard fired a top CIA Russia expert days after the Alaska summit. The CIA officer was due to take up a prestigious assignment in Europe approved by CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Instead, her security clearance was summarily revoked. So keep in mind, Donald Trump put up barricades around the White House, turned the White House into his own personal hospice, has blocked off the roads to Walter Reed, the hospital. Yeah, it's popcorn time, kids. Um, get ready to see a lot more of the Trumps and understand they are literally moving forward with what I said. What, hey, you know what's fucking crazy? I do not want to do this. I don't want to say this out loud. What I said was gonna happen is happening. Remember how I said like they're really gonna build a fucking resort on the Gaza Strip? How about them apples? Now, understand that all of that was based on information, so it's not like I just pulled it out of my ass. But oh my god, the last 24 hours have you not been like, "Oh, look what management group has permits to build in Gaza." Oh yeah, he's wearing Trump was right about everything. Oh my god. I want one that says every accusation is a confession. Is that too many words for a hat? Dina, can you do that? Every accusation is a confession. Can we do that on a red hat? Yeah, absolutely. Gabby is on it. We were right about goddamn everything. Justice's waiting room. We were right the whole time. Because I know that everything sucks right now. You deserve to be happy. You gotta find whatever that is that makes you fucking happy and chase that white rabbit. Dead ass. Despite the increase in crime in Washington, D.C., we don't need the news, Tim. We already did that. The FBI. Yeah, if we could get a plain white t shirt with the JWR logo in the center of the chest, just says JWR, and on the back it says we were right about everything, that would be great. Because we were looking at the news. It's not like we weren't fantasizing about his demise. We weren't a psychic. We were like, okay, the FBI has arrested U.S. Army veteran for conspiracy over protests against ICE. Legal experts say charges against Afghanistan war veteran Bajoon Mawala the second. Holy shit! Somebody named themselves that twice. God damn. Mark an escalation in the Trump administration crackdown on First Amendment rights. The arrest of U.S. Army veteran protests against the Trump administration's immigration crackdowns raised alarms among legal experts. And fellow veterans from Army Sergeant survived a roadside bomb blast special ops mission in Afghanistan, charged in July with conspiracy to impede or injure officers after joining a demonstration against federal immigration in Spokane, Washington. African war knows. Here's the guy who held a top secret clearance, was privy to some of the most sensitive information we have. He served in a combat zone. Treat him like they really sucks in my crawl. Yeah. Leaving government vans, windshield mat, tires, slash mobiles, and what Tuesday people are still in the scene. 1 month patrol to 2015. Geobuild integrating sustainable communities from Sonoma State was set to move into a 3,000 square foot, which he had bought with his girlfriend and nurse fellow Dova, retired U.S. Army intelligence officer. Arrested him. Military veteran, American citizen. Oh, that's not gonna fly. Yeah. So, read that article. Gross abuse of power. He's not gonna get. He just laid everything. Listen, when they tell you the details, when the army guy tells his whole side of the story, and you're like, what did he do? Conspiracy to injure or impede officers? No. What did he do? He stood in the way. That's not gonna stand up to muster. I didn't take the LSAT. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I mean, Gabby, I don't know if you saw my piece this morning, but people are acting so afraid of JD Vance and they don't realize that he would get worked up in a empty room with a couch with wrapped in plastic, right? Like we're really intimidated by a guy who gets upset because the couch is shiny. The fuck? Yeah, the guy that threw the sandwich didn't get charges, nothing they can do. Yeah. I like how they interviewed white men. Hey, I just want you all to know I make the most money that I've ever made in my whole life, and I'm considered a hard worker in my field. So understand that, like, I just don't do it physically. But I 1,000% equate hard work with results. All right, Prager has announced all 32 questions on its America First test. And remember, it's about to be the dumbest shit you ever saw. I forgot to. We are live. I'm sharing the show. Stand by. There's 20 people here. That's a big show for us. Thank you for being here. Free Palestine. Slava Ukraine. We were right about everything. That's a great hashtag. Another white boy podcasting. I don't know if I've told you this. I don't I never use hashtags in real life, but in my lifetime, like, hashtags have changed the way I communicate. It's hilarious. I'm actively, like, chuckling when I make my hashtags, like hee hee ha ha. It's definitely not how you're supposed to do that. But hey, I have PTSD, so my brain is broken. It's like I took all of the things that I learned and I refuse to use my power for evil. Hmm. I'm gonna make it a little weird. Hmm. But yeah, I'm gonna share this. If you would, that'd be great. Help us grow. Yeah, I love it. Anything that brings people to Magic the Gathering is great. I just bought my first commander deck. I am a competitive Magic player, but I think CEDH is stupid. It's like, take all the best cards Magic ever made and put them in a deck and call that deck building is pretty goddamn ignorant. Like, if I just wanted to play Vintage Cube, I would just play Vintage Cube. I have a Vintage Cube. Look at this shit. I have all of that. This, this, some of this. That's all a Vintage Cube. I bought the container over the weekend. I was so stoked. I found at the LGS up the road a $7 box that I could put that cube in so it's not in seven boxes, right? But yeah, if you suddenly find yourself looking at Magic the Gathering, the answer is yes. Buy a commander deck. We do not have to be in the same room to play. I can just point my camera down and we can play Commander Magic. Yep. You can download Arena on your phone. Once you master Arena and you get to the point where you're just winning all the time because you know what it is now, then you would download Magic Online onto your computer, and that's where you get into, like, competitive Magic, and that's my shit. I am a I actually love the game, and so when you actually love Magic the Gathering, I play it all. So that means I have a standard deck, I have a modern deck, I have a vintage and modern cube. I just bought a commander deck, right? Like I actually love Magic the Gathering because of the gathering, because you can't play it by yourself. It's not a solo game. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of life is very solo. If you know, you know. I'm a gamer, so I've never really been alone. I've always played games with other people. I play NBA 2K. I get my fill of new people when I play 2K. I'm like, I don't want to meet any other new people. Oh my God. Okay. Final Fantasy, they just made a set. That's Final Fantasy. I don't know what FF9 is. You're talking about Final Fantasy 9, right? And we could. I mean, we've talked about we gotta have a bug out tower. So probably someplace in Canada in the wilderness. Think Days Gone. But Magic the Gathering is a competitive game that travels well because it's just paper. Um, so I have traveled all over the country to go play in Magic events, and the best part about that, yes, playing Magic is fun. I love playing competitive Magic. The people, though, being around like-minded people is actually the best part. Yeah. So, yeah. By the way, VV is one of the most powerful cards they've ever printed in Magic the Gathering, and I bought four of them right off the bat because I've played every Final Fantasy ever because I'm a real gamer. I'm not one of those people that talks about video games. Like the new Edge of Eternities set came out, and I like to draw cards and play blue spells, and I just dumped all these cards. Man, that's tough, Jared. Never happens. Um, but yeah, Joe Biden coming in with the ice cream cone. That's actually funny. I'm actually looking forward to. Anyway, what I was gonna say was this new Magic set came out, and I couldn't go to the pre-release. I had to work, so I went online and I just ordered the cards that I wanted from the set, and that's what I recommend people do instead of just buy a bunch of packs of cards, which people want to do. And there's also people on the internet that's what they do. They buy a bunch of magic packs of magic cards. But yeah, the new set came out and I bought it's hard to see, but I go, what is the best card in the set in terms of like competitive play? And I bought a playset of Quantum Riddler. I Control decks have been looking for a finisher for a long time, and so I bought four of the alternate art. And then control decks are also looking for what to do with your mana when you leave up counterspell and they don't cast a spell. And there have been worse things that you could do historically with two mana. and they printed this new card, Consult the Star Charts, and I actually think it's also goes in a control deck with 4 counterspell in it because I've seen someone flood out and draw Consult the Star Charts with like 8 mana, and then at instant speed they pay 4 mana, look at 8 fucking magic cards, and put 2 in your hand for 4 mana. And I think, huh, yeah, I might want 4 of them in a deck. Anyway, we go back to the. We'll back off Magic the Gathering. Dust speculation videos. They've been removing my videos. They silenced my videos and gave me a violation. I got 1 foot out the door. JD walking around the Oval Office, running his finger across the furniture. Oh, your claw feet and tuft cushions. And tuft cushions. Keep his eyeliner in the presidential desk. So yeah. So remember, while the Democrats are silent on Gaza and silent on the genocide, 77% of Democrats are against sending military aid to Israel. Say Israel's committing a genocide. Donald Trump cannot legally federalize U.S. elections. Make sure that we point this out. They can sow division and fear. And this is the big thing about Donald Trump, is that he has been a lot of fluff and no gas. There's a lot of talk and there's no action. And I gotta tell you, JD Vance is a fucking poke, and he's also a lot of talk and no action. JD Vance is the kind of guy that talks about getting into a fight and then calls in his buddies. Uh huh. And again, if you think this is gonna stick, you're crazy. No, right? No. I'm again, the Democrats are taking the high road, but also the Democrats have had like 3 elected Democrats have died in 2025. So it is pretty bad form to really do much other than thoughts and prayers, actually, is what I would be doing to the president. Thoughts and prayers. I can't wait for all the thoughts and prayers um, when it actually happens. Donald Trump admits. Kelly Jenkins said I was banned on TikTok and my account was private and I've never even done a live. Jesus. It's crazy. This anti vaccine shit is destroying this administration. Shit you love to see. Let me explain something to you dum dums. Okay? I played 3 sports a year my entire life: football, basketball, and baseball. Okay? I had to have a physical. That means shots 3 times a year my entire life. And then when I went to Purdue, I was involved with the athletic program and had to have physical and shots. And then I joined the Marine Corps, where I had to have a physical and spent quite a lot of time getting shots. And now, as an adult, as somebody who has been through all of that, I don't know, inoculation, I think that's what that's called, I don't get sick. Ever. I go years at a time without getting sick because I've gotten my shots my whole life. And I think you should too. Now, I haven't ever taken the flu shot because I don't get sick And in order to, you give yourself the flu, you give yourself the flu. And why would I give myself the flu if I don't get the flu regularly? Yeah, I hate crypto too. Yeah, and Kelly, I'm really sorry to hear that. Yeah, the thing about it is, I was kind of thinking about this. Donald Trump has two choices in life. He can actually give this speech today, or he can attack the victims tomorrow. And I don't think he can do both. I don't think he has the energy for that. Once every year, I do expect to get sick. I always think about it, but I'm like, it didn't come. That's weird. I think it's because the environment that we live in is so dirty that your immune system has to be on lock. Otherwise, you're dead. Sticky office, and no longer the stinky office. But yeah, get your flu shots, get your COVID shots ASAP. Don't wait. Um, I am not the kind of person to die of the flu. I can assure you, if I had ever woke up one moment with any flu-like symptoms, I would just be getting a flu shot. But I've never had the flu, so that's weird. Never had the flu. The only time I've ever been sick, dead ass, is when we came home from Mexico, and somehow maybe taking a shower or something before we left. I must have drank water or something, like in the shower, or we ate breakfast before we left, and some of the local water got in the food. God damn it. When you're making food, and I got super sick, like Montezuma's Revenge, like diarrhea plus puking, like both ends, to the point of exhaustion. By the time I got to the VA emergency room, the the lady had to put me on a gurney to wheel me back into the isolation room because they were really worried something was fucking crazy wrong with me. And for the record, I want to continue to point this out that they gave me an IV and I woke up like 3 hours later, fresher than a motherfucker. Just, okay, am I good? I'm like, yeah, you're good. Like, okay, what happened? We don't know. What'd you give me? Everything. What? Yeah, we weren't able to isolate it. What the fuck do you mean? They're like, did you just come from out of the country? Like, yeah, I was in Mexico. Okay, you caught like a bacteria. Hmm. That's the only time I've ever been sick, and that was 9 years ago. So obviously that means I die suddenly. Obviously, I'll be like a pillar of health and unable to die. It's just mandatory work. I like that. Well, I mean, all those people in America that lost their jobs had to go somewhere, right? And Mexico's beautiful. Yeah, horrible sickness. Hmm. They literally couldn't even tell me what it was. Ro Khanna, California Democrat and Kentucky Republican seek House vote on bill requiring Epstein document disclosure. Thomas Massie of Kentucky. Donald Trump is such a jealous little bitch. Look at this shit. Oh, you talking about Mexico's president? Yeah, she looks great. Like as a president, obviously she's a pretty lady, but like I mean, what she's doing. All right, they're saying Congress is back in session. Here's USA Today. By the way, if I share an article with you and you can't figure it out, and you're like, "Hey, man, I can't read that article because there's a paywall," download the Opera. I use download the Opera. I mean, download Opera, replace Google Chrome with Opera. That's what I do. And it has a reader mode. So when I you send me an article and there's a paywall, I can just click reader mode and get around the paywall for $0. This includes Wall Street Journal, New York Times, USA Today. Um, it's free. It's a browser just like Chrome, but it's lightweight. It doesn't take up so much of your memory. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but Google Chrome is really heavy on your computer usage. Your CPU, yeah, it makes your computer work really hard. So you can just download Opera, and then Opera has a reader mode for articles with paywalls that you could just get around a paywall. This comes from years of actually reading the news and not feeling like paying for the truth, right? Yeah, yeah. Donald Trump got really pissed off because Modi and Putin were seen holding hands. I think he's either dead or he's on his back in a hospital gurney on life support. Personally, I want him to suffer. So if anybody knows anything about chronic heart failure, if you could tell me about the part where you're suffering, I want to know what that is. Cause I think he took his colostomy bag and his catheter out, and I think he got piss and shit all over the Oval Office, and that's why they were taking bags, big black plastic bags that only had stuff in the very bottom. What are those things? Rags. Rags soaked in piss and shit and blood. Why would they use rags? Why would they put it in a black trash bag, and why would they throw it out the window? Because it's blood mixed with poop. Tell me I'm wrong. He's his fucking, and I was talking to my wife about this. She doesn't have a PhD, and I was like, listen, you can't piss or shit. You can't hold your piss or shit in. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, you've done so much fucking drugs, and you're so old, and your organs are all shriveled up. How can you shit them out? Could your organs just fall out of your body? And she was like, if you're a woman and you've had a hysterectomy, yeah. And I'm like, Donald J. Trump, the man that has abused his body, ate fast food, didn't exercise regularly, fucking was a hardcore drug addict. His organs are all fucking blacked up and fucking no good and shit and shriveled because he's old. And you're telling me his intestine didn't come out his butthole. That's not a world I live in? Well, fuck. So, I can't wait. That's what I'm talking about. There are people that have wiped that motherfucker's ass that the moment he dies, oh, all hell breaks loose. I can't wait. I can't wait. Listen to me. Look how we talk about him when he's alive. How do you think the people close to him are going to talk when he's gone? And how many, I just realized I ain't heard his kids say shit. They want him to die too. I try to tell you, he is the most hated man ever. He wanted to be a dictator. He's truly evil. He is the most evil person. God, he used his wives. I'm pretty sure he had his ex-wife killed. He used his own children to draw minors to his side. He worked with his best friend Jeffrey Epstein and his best friend's girl Ghislaine Maxwell for the better part of 20 years. Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump's wives used to go find him girls. They fed this machine. They're complicit. There's a reason they haven't said anything. Yeah, Stacy, leaked does have a crazy meaning here, given the context of our conversation. It's kind of wild, kid, not gonna lie. But yeah, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and their wives ran an international organized crime ring for the better part of 20 years. Now, I used to say international, what do we say, like a sex ring? But the thing about it is, I hate to be this guy. They did worse shit. What he did was he kind of entrapped people. He entrapped people in a situation where it was like, act like this shit is normal or I'm going to out you as a pedophile. And again, I'm not saying it's good or okay, but what Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein did was basically entrap wealthy people and powerful political leaders all over the world that were willing to put themselves in that position. Let's be very clear about some shit. So all of those people, uh, Stacy, did you just get here? I just spoke long form on the fact that it's blood and poop and urine on a rag. For what reason would you throw that out the second floor of the White House? Rack your fucking brain. Sit there and think about, well, if it was just piss, that's a catheter bag, right? Because he has a catheter in. If it's shit, he has a colostomy bag in, right? And for what reason would you put it in a black plastic bag and throw it out the second floor window of the White House? I can answer this question. Blood, urine, and poop in the same rag. I think that Donald Trump is a demented, petulant child that wakes up every day and doesn't realize that he's 80, he's dying, and oh, by the way, you can't piss or shit. And he ripped that shit out and he got pee and poop and blood all over the fucking Oval Office. And he's walking around in his underwear, fucking just poop and blood and piss just all over the fuck. That's what I think really happened. He's having a shitty and pissy day. And I'm guessing projectile vomit, having seen it, right? But I try to think about, why is it in a black plastic bag? Why was it thrown out the second floor window? It looked very bottom heavy, and as someone who like has picked up a lot of trash in their life, that has a lot of experience with black plastic bags. The industrial trash bag versus the traditional kitchen trash bag, the difference in the material. That was a kitchen, it was a pretty strong trash bag, right? Had about 10 pounds or less of what appeared to be rags in it. And I try to think about, what would you be ragging up? Second floor of the White House. And blood and piss and urine and puke. A mixture of those things. Because if it was any of those things individually, you have containers for that. Am I wrong? If it was just pee and poop, yeah, he's got a catheter and a colostomy bag. Hook that shit up to him, Tell him don't touch that shit. Let's move on with our lives. I think he's got somebody said it's syphilitic dementia, which is somehow worse than just having fucking dementia. Am I wrong? Yeah, it was a crime ring including murder, murder for hire, money laundering, pedophilia, sex crimes. Yeah. So again, it would be completely normal for someone to be like, "Jared, I feel like it's diminishing the victims by not calling it a sex crime ring." You know, there's this thing called the penal system and the legal system, right? And in the legal system, murder is actually the worst. It's actually like one of the worst. We give the death penalty for that in a lot of places. I'm not even saying the death penalty is right. I'm just saying they don't do that for sex crimes. They should. They should castrate motherfuckers. I honestly think that. Just lop it off. You goddamn right. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. As someone who has never had a problem in my whole life attracting members of the opposite sex, rape is absolutely a deal breaker for me. Actually, believe that. Isn't that fucking insane? As someone who just like can't relate. Um, so to call it it's an international organized crime ring. Donald Trump is basically a tribal warlord of a violent pedophilic crime ring. I think it's okay to call them violent pedophiles. A violent pedophilic crime ring. I believe that's a word. Let's look up pedophilic. Yeah, pedophilic is a word. Thank you. A violent pedophilic crime ring. Hmm. Yep. And so keep in mind, if you support Donald Trump, you support a tribal warlord of a violent pedophilic crime ring, hmm including treason. Including treason. And I want to continue to point this out. We are lucky that they're fucking stupid. You heard me when I said it. We're lucky that they're fucking stupid. Do you know why we are lucky? The main reason that we aren't embroiled in a civil war right now is because Jack Smith knew Donald Trump was in power when January 6th happened. And that makes him fucking stupid. Like, incredibly dumb. Do you know how motherfucking dumb you have to be to ruin the last 2 weeks you have in office? And again, I want to point this out. The reason we aren't embroiled in a fucking civil war is because Jack Smith looked at that situation and said he incited an insurrection and financially supported it against himself. He was still in power. Don't charge him. He's an idiot. Dead ass. Dead ass. So if you ever wondered why they didn't do anything then, because he basically harikari'd himself. You did it to yourself. You were in power when you had your own people rub shit on the walls of the U.S. Capitol. Kick our feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. But they'd also killed 5 police officers in the process. Mm-hmm. And I want to point out how many of them people that participated in January 6th that have been pardoned that got rung right the fuck back up. So the real world comes for us all. Mm-hmm. So much treason. Yeah. And again, I think that's what we're going to find out when he dies. Um, and that's going to be the justice part that people aren't going to like. The thing about Donald J. Trump is he did all of this horrible shit and he will not be held accountable because he has determined for himself that he will not be held accountable. Stolen documents, I keep going. Yeah. You would actually get bored talking about all the criming that Donald J. Trump has crimed since he got elected president. There were more than 1,000 protests nationwide yesterday, and I want to congratulate everybody who got out of their house and did some shit. I had to work, and I helped two people yesterday. So if you're wondering, how did your day go? I helped two people yesterday that want to buy a house. And you got to understand something. We're partners with NerdWallet. We're partners with Forbes. So I get a lot of leads from veterans that are looking for help. And I'm like, look, I was in the Marine Corps infantry. I'll help you any way I can. And I generally am a goddamn demon if you also served. Just in case you wondered, Jared, what's your strong suit? What group of people can you fucking talk veterans? Would because I care very much about what did you do in the service. Oh, I was in the ba. Oh, thank you so much for your service. And then they get to feel all good for a whole 5 seconds. And in my head, four, three, two, one. I was in the Marine Corps infantry. Whatever confidence they had just built up after I said thank you for your service. And I love working with my fellow veterans. And now they realize, like, I thought I was a badass. I thought that I was like him, and then I met him. hmm And then I just guide you through this process, and I'm real soft spoken. And last night, the guy told me you could sell ice to Eskimos. I was like, I haven't heard that shit in a while. But yeah, it was like a $73,000 deal, so we'll fucking take it. Um, yeah, plus all the extra pay. So I had a really good Labor Day. I enrolled over $100,000 in debt. I saved one of my clients more than $1,100 a month. I mean, that's kick ass. And they're trying to buy a house. That's $65,000 in the next 4 years they could save up. hmm That's a house. That's a down payment on a house. That's what I do all day, every day, baby. hmm Now, there are people that will go through that process and they'll be like, nah, fam, I want to still pay my credit cards. And I'm just like, you said you wanted to buy a house and you have no money saved up for a down payment. You want to buy a house in the next 3 or 4 years. And you're just going to keep paying them payments. Idiot. You ain't going to buy a house, ding dong. You're going to be buying points. Your credit's ass. But not yesterday. Yeah. And again, I gotta really point it out because Mike's not here. Holy shit, the army is dumb as fuck. Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, Army though. God damn. They just let anybody in the fucking army, bro. It's tough. It's tough. One of my guys, when I was on active duty, one of my sergeants, he was a bad motherfucker. He's a little guy. He taught me all kinds of cadence. He was special forces in the army, and when you leave the army and you join the Marine Corps, when you leave any branch of service and you join the Marine Corps, you have to start over as a E1, and then you can gain rank before you actually go anywhere. So I participated in the DEP program and I showed up at all these activities. You get E2 for that. And then I went to college and showed outstanding mental skills. And I got E3 before I even got to the fleet. I was a lance corporal, and so I had been promoted twice before I ever really hit the fleet. And then when you get to the fleet and the unit I got to, there wasn't nobody there. When I got first got to 1-9, The Walking Dead, they were getting split up for being combat inefficient. So I had to go get new orders, and I got sent to 2-2. The most combat deployed. I went from a unit that just got fucked up in Iraq really bad to the point where they split them up. Goddamn. To getting sent to 2-2, the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history that's currently on their fifth straight deployment to Iraq. So you talk about like dodging fucking bullets. Literally. But my sergeant had been in the army, and when he had been an E5 in the army, he had been a sergeant in the army. He had left the army to join the Marine Corps infantry and wanted to be in 2-2. And like everybody wanted to be there, but like he specifically wanted to be in that unit because they were combat deployed. They were in the shit. Everybody else is walking around. That's the way he said it. But he told me the army is a circus where everyone is in the circus. That's the army. It is a fucking circus. When you get into special forces in the army, you're just like the main attraction at the circus. And I was like, "Aw, that sucks." And he was just like, "Yeah." It's like you're surrounded by fucking incompetence, and then you join like whatever the fuck. I don't even know what army does for special forces because boo boo. But he's like, "Yeah, you do that," and you're like, "We're kind of the only people that have our shit together." And then when you go out of the country and you're going to do some shit and you realize who's actually in charge, who's actually doing some shit, and my sergeant, so keep in mind he had been back through the Marine Corps and made it back to E5, and he did it in 2.5 years. He's a bad motherfucker. He said the Marine Corps, it's like everyone's the main attraction. And then when you join special forces, those are the fucking tigers. Where it's like a much different part of this. Really good analogy, by the way. Really good fucking analogy. I thought. I thought. Um, but yeah, the army is like a circus. Anybody can join. And when you join like an elite part of the army, it's like you're the only people in the army that have your shit together. And then when you leave the army and you join the Marine Corps, it's like, well, it's still a circus. Still a fucking circus. But everybody has a role. And then when you get into the special part, it's like, nope, those are the fucking tigers, actually. And for the record, we did PT with Force Recon, and it was laughable. It was like having an Olympic track team run against a bunch of sixth graders. That's how far apart we were athletically. These were guys that were used to sprinting 7-minute miles in full gear. Yeah. Um, so I can empathize as someone who frequently wondered if I was in a fucking circus. It's all a circus, right? It's just one of them is a shit show. There's just way too many people. The residents are saying these fucking GIs are not leaving the tourist district of Washington, D.C. So where the people actually live, the guard is not. They're only being seen in. Hmm. Remember that a judge recently said that Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal. So all that money that people paid, Aaron Parnas said the Oval Office meeting is supposed to be at the Department of Defense and National Guard. Sure. Let's see Donald Trump. Oh, is it national? Is the hurricane season now? Is September? He also says Walter Reed streets aren't closed. Yeah, I want to believe him, but it's weird. Donald Trump hit with a fresh fight over the Epstein files as the congressional recess ends. Yeah, demand the release of the Epstein files. It's what we should be doing. Look at this motherfucker, bro. His face is like Picasso. Daily Mail. Father Ted creator Graham Linehan, wild, was arrested because of his comments about trans people. I just want to make sure that we talk about um, all my trans friends. My very best friend is a trans man. Don't worry, they take self defense and spend a lot of time at a range. They already know. Yeah, why does he look bald? Yeah. Maybe because he's been wearing a fucking hairpiece forever, Gabby. That nasty shit isn't. It's like set on his head. Ah, oh, I hate him. I hate him. I just want to point that out. Donald Trump. I have no empathy for him. I hope he is suffering. I hope his continued existence is a pain to him. This is what he deserves. Hmm. I hope it's nothing but. I hope his colostomy bag bursts. I hope his fucking catheter falls out. I hope it's just piss down his leg and shit in his underwear everywhere he goes. I hope it gets in his shoes. Sorry, had a little outburst. I hope he's just squishing around and poop and piss. Because I hate him. Sorry. Yeah, no empathy. Nope. I seen my own grandfather on his deathbed be racist to the fucking nurses, and I've never wanted someone to die faster. I've never just been like, die. And like, I went out in the hallway and was fucking beside myself, and the nurses came out and they said it's common. When people get old and incapacitated and they're about to die, you find out who they really are. And I was like, I'm so fucking sorry. I fucking hate those people. I used to love those people really hard until I saw them be fucking racist when they were on their deathbed. And now it makes me fucking hate their guts forever. And don't worry, the nurses were like, oh, we hate those motherfuckers too. Still gotta help him. And for the record, he lived for like 15 years after that. And my grandmother was the same way. When she was on her deathbed, she used racial slurs because she's in pain and shit. Like I said, when you get down and destitute, you find out who people really are. Yep. They start attacking. Yep. So I know exactly who Donald Trump is because I dealt with my elderly grandparents. Hmm. And fuck him. Fuck him. Let him walk around and piss and shit all over him. Fuck him. I ain't wiping his goddamn ass. I hope all the people around him stop fucking catering to him. That's what I hope. I hope people quit on him en masse. The people close, the ass wipers. I need them people to quit. I'm telling you, if you wiping Donnie's ass, you gotta fucking quit that job, dog. Fucking Pam Bondi, I'm looking at you. Benny Johnson, I'm looking at you. Who else is wiping his ass? JD Vance? You know it ain't Melania. Remember, I told you to join a fucking union. Donald Trump's wiping out unions. Join a fucking union. To shit face, keg's breath, ass wipers. App Ass Wipers Anonymous, aka the people keeping Donald Trump alive. Recession specials are making a comeback. Mackie Doo's gonna be slinging that recession value meal any day now. The 3.99 three quarter cheeseburger, 3/4 pound of three. It's a quarter pound. There's a quarter pounder. I can, yep. We need more working class people to run for politics. His niece Mary, who has a podcast, hasn't been on either. I think. Ooh, Bob! You'd have to dry it out and turn it into a powder first. You can't use shit as mascara. Come on, dog. You'd have to dehydrate the poop. You'd have to like bake it in an oven and then you'd have to add stuff to it to get it to turn into a powder that you could use. This is what happens when you put apply makeup to yourself as an adult. I was Kratos. And by the way, that was supposed to be a scar across his face. So I got, it was a badass costume. Back when I had muscles. hmm All right, so here we go. Let's check out the weather and get the fuck out of here. Yeah, JD Vance does hate him. You know why? Oh wow, storms today. Uh, flash flood, Vicksburg, Saunders, Nebraska. Music makes me want to play 2K. All right, here we go. Everybody wanted to know the weather, right? So again, if you live in the left half of the country, your shit's on fire. There looks to be major rain systems in central and southern California moving east. Obviously, that means Arizona is going to get some moisture. There's moisture in the Gulf. There's moisture in the islands south of Miami. There's moisture east of the Carolinas, and then the basically the South has moisture throughout. So Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, all the way up to Minnesota. Holy shit, there's a massive storm system in central Minnesota moving east into northern Wisconsin. And then it looks like there is a tropical storm, by the way, that looks like it's going to make landfall in the Baja, southwest, very southwest corner of the United States. Might potentially get some weather off this. Tropical storm, which is about to be a tropical depression. So I know I sound more weatherman than normal. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be able to. The fumes from smearing shit as like wet shit as mascara would make you pass out. Putting that shit on your eyes? What the fuck? Not to mention pink eye, right? Um, so yeah, you wouldn't be able to do that. Now that I think about it, you couldn't use mascara shit as mascara. You'd get pink eye. Conversations you have. You know what I mean? Have a good day, everybody. All right, here you go. Here's a little bit of Eat the Rich, and let's get out of here. Don't make sure you get Battlefield. I think you can play it again. I'm telling you, you need a screen behind you. You only wear green where you're a floating head. No, no. I don't want to. I don't want to be memed to death. Play Battlefield. Anyway, have a great day. Drink water. Eat right. Exercise. Get 8 hours of sleep a day. By the way, if you play Once Human, you have to be in the same world and the same map, and then I have to give you permissions. But I gave Stacy, I gave Aaron permissions, so he should be able to use my facilities on Once Human. Telling us the weather. I did. I told you the weather was pretty good. Oh, while telling you the weather. Yeah, this would be like the left half of the country is fucked. Look at all this rain. Look at all this rain. All right, sorry. Like, look at all this moisture. Look at this moisture. Look at this moisture. Look at a fire. Look at a fire. The left half of the country, your shit's on fire. Except for somehow California is getting rain today. Please let California not show up on the on fire and flood shit in the same day. God, God. Because you know, if like California has fire and flood in the same place, that just fuels the Christo-fascist narrative that like celebrity is equal to devil worship and shit.